Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome everyone again to another absolutely fantabulous, simply awesome episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have two special guests that embody a marriage of greatness. One could actually argue 33 marriages of greatness, as these two are on a path toward 100 weddings to one another. Returning to the program to provide us with an update on all of their events, retreats, courses, and engaging content, and hot off their marriage retreat in Uganda. Thrive Lab listeners and viewers, I bring you the hosts of the Marriage of Greatness podcast, Evan and Susan Money. Evan and Susan Money, welcome back.
Woo!
They're always so happy. And for those who get to hear this, the one who's talking in a lower, deep voice all over his significant other, that's Evan. And the one who always has a very high-pitched voice who jumps in every now and then is Susan. Great to see the two of you. How are you two?
Hello. Fabulous. Okay,
we are absolutely tremendous, Lou. Tremendous.
Well, we're going to break this down into different pieces because it's literally hot off the press. Let's talk about what you just finished up this past weekend, because I never thought I'd put this all in one sentence. Uganda, bikinis, retreat. It just sounds like, like a whole piece of what are we talking about here? Can you give us a little bit of update what you guys have just been doing?
Absolutely. So we just had the first annual Marriage of Greatness marriage retreat in Kampala, Uganda. Mm-hmm. So that is dead smack in the middle of Africa. And it's actually, for those ignorant Americans like myself that didn't pay attention in geography class, it's actually where the Nile River starts. So, being us, U.S. people, we're like, hey, rivers flow south. Like, that's how it works. But once you go to the other side of the world, the water flows north. So all the water from Lake Victoria goes and feeds the Great Nile River. So that was a huge wake-up call for us. But we had wedding number 33 and honeymoon number 33, woohoo, in Uganda last year. And we fell in love with the people. We fell in love with the culture. We fell in love with the food, Lou. Oh, just quick ADD sidebar. We'll come back. In Uganda, they invented the concept of farm to table because that's their lifestyle. And they can't afford pesticides because they're too expensive. So everything is organic. The soil is rich. It's unpolluted. And everything tastes spectacular. So for all you foodies out there, all you people that love that 6-star experience, you have got to go eat in Uganda because you're going to taste stuff that you thought you knew what it tastes like. But when you have it there, it's like, oh. So one thing a lot of people don't know is that's the mango capital of the world. So mango trees are everywhere.
Yeah, they're like, you're driving down the road and they're just like everywhere. And you're like, can we stop? No, it's not the season yet. Oh, okay.
Yeah, mangoes are pretty big, by the way. They get to be like this big, mangoes, right? They're pretty juicy.
Humongous. Yeah, and it's just such an incredible country. And again, we fell in love with it, and we wanted to figure out ways where we can continue to impact them. And so talking with our hosts who married us and put on a spectacular, full traditional Uganda wedding. I still remember your quip, Lou, from the picture I sent you with my bride doing one of the dances. And you're like, hips don't lie. So over there, just real quick, because they're ex-British colony, so you got the whole conservative British thing, and then you've got the whole African thing. It's so different from the U.S. So they're ultra conservative, but the way they communicate is through movement. Like they can communicate by moving, and we go, you watch the Super Bowl and Beyonce and all this. That is like the tiniest tip of the iceberg to the way they're able to communicate through movement there. They do it through worship, they do it through just anything. It's fascinating to see that. So it's just one little fun tidbit over there. But again, we fell in love with the culture, fell in love with the people, and our hosts have been on their own marriage of greatness journey because the wife came from a very abusive background, and that's what led her to start her nonprofit, which is called I'll say it in Ugandan, Remnant Generation. And they're basically a shelter for sex trafficked girls or girls that are involved in child marriage. So all the girls that come to their shelter are pregnant and are between the ages of 13 and 16. And so those girls were actually our bridesmaids in our wedding.
Oh, wow.
And my beautiful bride at 5'3" felt, what it was like to be tall because all these girls are like her shoulder.
I was like, ooh, I'm tall.
And then we had the boys from the boys' home as part of my groomsmen. But all of that led to our great relationship with our hosts and connecting. And we just had a passing conversation about how that culture, they have this giant lake, but no one swims in the lake. It's not like the US where it's like, let's go to the lake. Like they only go to the lake to catch these wild giant fish that look like they're from Star Wars. And nobody goes in the water. So swimming is not a thing. And so we were just talking and we were chatting and we're just like, man, it'd be so cool if you guys had like a bikini wedding. And the husband's eyes, Lou, like I could tell I hit a nerve. And I'm like, so we kept talking back and forth. And finally we said, okay, let's do a marriage of greatness retreat in Uganda. And the end cap, which is going to happen tomorrow, is going to be, we're going to have a celebration and have a wedding in the pool because most of the Ugandan culture and a lot of the church culture is all about Sunday best and wear all your best clothes and all this. And I said, hey, what if we stripped all that away and just had you in the pool with clothes on, right? But with a bikini and just saying, hey, let's just recommit from a different way. Instead of the pomp and circumstance, let's recommit at like this base level in the water, no hiding. Like here we are. And we got this great video from the bride. She sent my bride this heartfelt video. And she said, this is the first time, this woman is 40 something years old. She said, this is the first time I've ever worn a bathing suit because of her past and her abuse, right? She did not feel pretty. She did not feel beautiful. She did not feel worthy of even wearing a bathing suit. And so to get her to have a bikini wedding, and she had a fun little wrap, and you would have been like, oh, girl, you're like, no problem. But it was so revolutionary for her to actually see herself as beautiful enough to even wear a bikini. And so the husband's just excited because he's like, yeah, I got my bride in a bikini. And so they're going to have this amazing ceremony, and all the other guests are invited to be in the pool with them. And so we're going to have like this group fun wedding. So that's kind of the end result of the marriage retreat. And then the retreat's been going on all weekend, and it's very interactive. It's not just sit and write. You saw some of the pictures of so one of the things that we did is we had the couples, which we do at our marriage retreats here, is one of the exercises is you sit with your bride. So Lou, you can use this. I know you got a birthday girl in the house there. You can. So one of the things we did was say, okay, and there's a timer. We say, sit face to face with your bride for 2 minutes, but do not say anything. Just look at them.
Well,
For 2 minutes. For 2 minutes. And watch what happens. And then at the end of the 2 minutes, then you can kiss and hug, and you have to have a minimum of a 30-second hug. But there's magic especially in that culture where they're used to movement and dancing and just having them look at each other.
be still.
Yeah, and the picture I sent you was remarkable because I wrote all the curriculum, but they took their twist on it. So the picture I sent you shows them sitting down, straddling each other.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell them to do that. It was like in America, we just do it standing up. But in their culture, they're sitting down, straddling at this. It was just so cool to see them, take the Ugandan twist on some of these things. So
We
that's
will
a
put this
long
in
answer to a short question, sir.
Yes, we will put these images in the podcast landing page for this episode for those who want to check it out.
Yeah.
Susan, here's a
Yes.
question. In the retreats over there, retreats over here, I want to hit what you're seeing is the most common challenge married couples are having, and what is the seemingly common language that seems to resonate no matter where you are in the world, that brings, that's keeping this energy together of this amazing platform you guys are creating. So let's focus, first of all, is there one common thing that you're seeing as a challenge all over the world that looks alike no matter where you are?
Mm.
Yes, and it really is technology. I mean, for people to put their phone down, turn it off, took the ringer off, put it in another room, and be like separated from this, that's like a huge challenge. Even in Uganda, everybody has a cell phone there too, and it's just like, dude, put your phone down. Pay attention to the person who's right here, not the fake people that are here. So that, it seems to me to be the hugest challenge. And then once people do, then that gives up a space to like look at each other and talk to each other and ask each other questions and communicate rather than just, doing the death scroll, what Evan calls. It's just put your phone down and talk to your person.
Yeah, one of the things we do at the retreat is we physically take their phones from them after they turn them off or put them on airplane mode, and stick them in the back corner of the room so that way they can see them. Because if you took them out of the room, everyone would have a heart attack, right? But it's like, okay, it's there. You can go visit it at the break, but for the next couple hours, right, we're just going to be right here.
To be present with your mate.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that. I mean, that's fascinating. So technology and our we'll call it addiction to it is still there. Now, in the issues and challenges, obviously, no matter where you are in the world, there's something different based on their cultures or their behaviors. I'd love to hear, because you guys have a really interesting perspective that you cover on your program. And a lot of, obviously, you have many different faiths that you're probably coming across or dealing with. Help me bring I'm trying to look for that common area of what's keeping people together the most.
Intentionality. You just have to be willing to take the time and to invest in this person. I mean, it was the biggest honor of my life when Evan asked me to marry him, because it's like, oh my goodness, you just asked me to spend the rest of your human life with you forever together, right? I mean, that's huge. It's huge. And so people make that commitment. They get all excited about the wedding and all that goes into that. And it's all the stress and excitement and blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, we do all this prep for the actual wedding, but then it's like, how much prep do we do for the marriage itself? I mean, the day to day, this is the ins and the outs of being with this person and working together and having kids if you're going to have kids and having pets. We just got a new puppy, and that's just like rocked our world again. Oh my goodness. And it's like, you have to be intentional and be willing to talk to each other and to communicate. And it's just, a lot of people don't. Like, I have a dear friend, and I've been at her house many times, hanging out or having tea or whatever. And her husband comes home and it's like, hey, hon, that's it. They've been away from each other for 10 hours or so, and all they get is a hey, hun. How about stop what we're doing and go acknowledge that person's presence and just, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're back, and look them in the eye, give them a hug, something just to connect in some way. It can be brief. I mean, it really doesn't take more than like 10 or 15 seconds, and to just put that effort in, it speaks volumes.
Yeah, one of the rules we have, Lou, is that I learned from our first set of dogs is I never wanted the dog to be more excited than I was when she came home. So it doesn't matter if she goes to the mailbox, if she goes on a run, if she goes on an errand, if she's gone all day, whatever. You come home, you put a secret camera in our house, and I am more excited than the dog when she gets home. And I learned that from our first dog, because I was like, what are they so excited about? I'm like, I need to be that excited. So that's our rule, is never let the dog get more excited. So
that's not an easy task, by the way. I had a pretty rambunctious puppy for many years. That's definitely not an easy task.
Yes, Evan he used to push the dog out of the way. No, it's my turn.
Yeah, me first.
So speaking of movement, and I learned this indirectly, and I want you to validate and confirm this for me. You guys, the two of you, on most Tuesdays, go for a walk. and it probably a walk in your neighborhood or whatever it is. And I believe this is where the inspiration for the topic of whatever your next episode is going to be on the Marriage of Greatness podcast. One, is that still the case? Is that where the ideas get flowing, or is that an after walk thing? Tell the listeners a little bit about how you come up with the topics that you come up with every single week.
Well, the rule and the lesson here for everybody is understand, like my bride talked about intentionality. So we make it a lifestyle. It is our lifestyle to literally take daily walks together. Now, we just got a new puppy, and the funny thing about the puppy is it's a special needs dog, so we're still teaching it how to walk and wanting to walk, but
we've gotten like 3 houses down, and then it wants to turn around and come back. So, okay.
So regardless, with a dog in the house, no dog in the house, my bride and I, our lifestyles, we always take a walk together every day. And again, we're in SoCal, so the weather's beautiful and it's all that. So we have a lifestyle of walking without our phones, and that's our time to communicate. That's my bride is very willing to let me verbally process, because I'm a verbal processor. She's a thinking processor. And so a lot of the times it's me verbally processing, her listening, but just that's a for sure. But for the podcast, we always have our pre-pod walk. And that is different from our regular walks, Lou, because picture this, you come, again, send a secret camera or whatever, and you'll see this couple walking around the neighborhood literally with a notepad and pen. Because we don't bring our phones, right? Because, oh yeah, I'll just take a note on my phone. Yeah, that's great until somebody texts you or you get a DM, right? And all that. So pen and paper walking through the neighborhood. And then literally you'll be like, oh, what's that couple doing? My bride will be in the driveway. Like, oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So we used to go with a Post-it, and then we run out of room. So finally now it's like full legal pad. We just walk and talk and write that down. Because Lou, you know, at our age, right? Once you get back home, you're like, man, what did we what did we decide on? What were those great ideas? Like, they're gone, right? So we got to write them down in the moment.
I think we need Easter eggs. And as the spirit of Easter is coming this weekend, we need Easter eggs in the episode that you should record something in this walk. We have to get like a microphone and a boom as you guys are walking, like going through that and then showing how that came to life. I think that would be fascinating.
It would be a really long podcast. Sometimes our block is 1 mile, exactly 1 mile. So sometimes we get almost all the way around the block and Evan's still talking. So sometimes we got to go around twice.
That doesn't surprise me one bit. So what I will say, and this is a shout out. Obviously, I have produced on my show thousands plus hundreds of episodes. I've lost track, and we're almost at 1,100 on one show. And obviously, with all the different shows we have at Thrive Loud Productions, I want to say this. They have a very unique way of addressing every show, hitting a topic. It's very well thought out. And whether you're married or not, I want to make that clear. Whether you are in a long-term relationship or you're single or you're dating someone, whatever it is, I highly recommend you listen to this episode, these episodes, because I think it gives a really good perspective of the work that you got to put in and the questions you need to ask, or the topics that you need to that you hit upon, which are, by the way, they are very random. So these walks are spectacular. Some are very factual, bringing up facts of certain books that they've read, other conversations they've had with other couples. So listeners should actually take note of this on, how do you measure your marriage? What if every couple in business and marriage needs to know? I mean, stuff like that. So you could apply a lot of their lessons. So just a kudos. I have been listening. And not because I happen to be involved in the production of this, but I happen to be listening because it's good stuff. And I'll even send it off to my bride and say to her, hey, you should listen to this particular one specifically. Like I told you guys when this happened, they did a whole episode about toxicity and complaining, was it? Right?
Teasing is toxic.
Yes, exactly. And teasing is toxic. And it was absolutely educational, like even joking about the teasing about it. It was a really, really good piece. So that was my plug for you guys. You don't have to plug anything here. Look at that.
Wow,
look how great that was. But I do want to ask this question as it relates to all this content. You've been creating it and putting a gift out into the universe. You do this with your content, with your books and everything. And that is the benefit that the listener, the viewer, gets in return from getting your content. but there's always like this happy accident or this gift that comes back that you receive from putting the content out there. Susan first, then Evan next. What gift do you get in return for creating the Marriage of Greatness podcast?
Well, I get the benefit of all the things that Evan's talking about, he's actually doing. Like recently we had a podcast where he's like, go have a picnic and, just get some snacks and grab a blanket and hop in the car and go. And that day we did it. And it was just like, wow, that was nice. And we had actually a really lovely day. I got sunburnt even. I mean, we were out there for quite a while, just enjoying each other and on the edge of the ocean. And so I get the benefit of all the things that Evan is talking about, he's doing. And we're practicing on each other and we're trying things out. And if it doesn't work, then we toss it and go find something else. And so I'm very blessed from him being a man of integrity and actually doing all the things that he is teaching about. He does.
And you, Evan.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So first of all, though, again, great hosting, because you already know my verbal processing. So you're like, Susan, you go first. Let's make sure.
I want to have time.
There's if there's only so much time we need for every episode, just to be clear. Yes.
But I'll make this one short and sweet because it was a surprise for us. So a year and a half ago, getting excited to do the show. It's like, oh, we're going to share this content. It's going to be great. Da, 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 da. But what I didn't realize was it's another way for my bride and I to stay intentional and stay aligned, Lou, because if we're going to do a podcast together, we need to be on the same page. And so that's not just a one time a week thing. It's like it carries over for the entire week. And now it becomes this lifestyle, even being more and more aligned. And that dives into the question that sure you'll bring up, but we'll talk into it now. So we're celebrating, we're on marriage number 33. So we've got 33 weddings in a different state or country. And people ask that same question, Lou, like, why do you get married 33 times? Or what benefits are coming from it? It's the same thing. It keeps us aligned because we're either in one or two states. We're either in a post-honeymoon bliss, woohoo, we love those, or we're in the excitement, which we are right now, of we got 4 weddings this year, Lou. We're doing a cross-country trip. And so it's like, okay, we got to have our different outfits. We're going to have this, we're going to have this. And that's just another way to keep us aligned and keep the guardrails in. And so I don't ever have time to get frustrated with her because I'm focusing on all the excitement, all the cool stuff we're going to have. And so by focusing on, hey, we got these weddings. Hey, I got this weekly podcast. Hey, we're doing these marriage retreats. All that takes up the bandwidth. So there's no bandwidth left for complaining about the things that she isn't doing or needs to be doing or whatever. And so I always want to make sure on every episode, I usually say it, so I got to say it on this episode. The biggest room in our home, and no matter where we go, so we're looking at the dream home very soon to be like Lou, right? To be like, woohoo, going to get to Jupiter one day. We're going to make it.
One day we're giving him a geography lesson.
Boca and Jupiter, they're far away. No, they're not. I know anyway. So, but the biggest room in my house is the room for my improvement. And it will always stay that way, no matter how many remodels, right? It's always going to be the biggest room in my house. And so I don't spend any bandwidth, any nanoseconds going over to my bride's room of improvement and trying to give her advice, because I've got a lifetime journey of all this improvement that needs to be done in my room. And so I just focus my time there. And then the rest of the time, it's planning these amazing events, doing all this cool stuff. And so these are just natural guardrails that keep this a lifestyle. And it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Lou, you understand this, of just whatever it is, once it becomes a lifestyle, then it's a habit. You're not even thinking about it. But if you got to think about it, you've already lost, right?
Like, but so it was not always that way. I was always knocking on his door and trying to say, hey, I think you need a different paint color, or you missed a spot, or, So it took a long time and a lot of trial and error for us to get to this point. So, and we're still in progress, obviously.
Awesome stuff. So can we give a little hint to the listeners and viewers as to the 4 weddings that are upcoming on this cross-country trip?
Oh, yeah, yes. Sure. So we're not road trip people. We always fly where we want to go. But I've always wanted to drive cross-country.
Okay.
and stay like in a little Sprinter van with like a little bed and bathroom and kitchen and stuff. So it took a while for me to convince Evan because he's like, well, let's just drive the Sprinter van from hotel to hotel. I'm like, no, the whole point is to stay in the van, park off the side of the road or whatever. Anyway, so we thought we'd go cross country, but now we've narrowed it down to a 2-week trip, and we're going to hit Idaho, we're going to hit Montana, and North and South Dakota.
Oh, awesome.
So we're
Well,
going to have
I'll give you this. Hold on. 3 out of the
What?
4 there. 3 out of the 4. North Dakota, there's not much going on. But
well,
the
we
other
know
states.
people. We know
you know
people
friends.
in North Dakota. Yes,
well,
and they're
I'm-
going to set it all up. We're doing like a medieval themed.
Ooh.
Yes, because our friend Chuck Black. Are we allowed to say that?
You can say
Okay,
you can
so
jump in.
Chuck Black, he has written these series of amazing books, and they're like allegories for the Bible and allegories for like good versus evil, but it's set in a medieval time with knights and damsels in distress and all this. So we are huge fans of these books, and so they are going to give us a Knights of Erith Dray wedding on their property. So we're very excited.
Yeah.
And then South Dakota, we're going to Mount Rushmore.
Yep. And
Do the red, white, blue thing.
along your drive, obviously you'll be in Idaho, you'll probably pass by Sun Valley or something of that nature. But when you go to
Yes.
Montana,
Yes.
enjoy Glacier Park. Make sure you get.
Yes, we are. We're driving to Glacier Park, and that it's in there somewhere that we're going to renew for Montana. Yeah. And then in Idaho, we're going to hopefully do some. We're doing a pickleball wedding.
Oh, that's fun.
That's because Coeur d'Alene, Idaho is the capital of Selkirk, which shout out to Selkirk, as they're the only company that makes the stuff in the U.S. They're the paddles are made in the U.S. The factory's there. So we're going to try to go tour the factory and check around, and they got these cool setups. So she's got her little pickleball outfit. I got my outfit. We're going to have the bouquet on the paddle. So come on, man, pickleball fans. Here we go.
I know it's that time of year, and it depends on what you celebrate. Obviously, we're recording this right around Easter. The Masters was just yesterday. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I found this new pickleball paddle, which I thought was really good. It was a matzo pickleball paddle. I don't think it would last very long. But somebody sent me that, and I thought that was quite ingenious, actually. So.
We did have. I'm reading a book right now. It's called Taste and See. Evan read it first, underlined it, dog-eared it, and now I'm reading it and underlining it and dog-earing it. And there's recipes because she goes through all of these different like food categories, and then she goes biblically like how significant this was. So Evan and I the other day we made matzah.
18 minutes, baby. 18
there you go.
minutes.
Otherwise, the yeast is going to rise, and it's a whole big problem.
You know it. You know it. We did
So
the whole thing.
So we did it in under 18 minutes. The yeast did not rise, and I have to say mine came out better than Evan's, but that's okay.
For the unleavened experience of a lifetime, we have the Marriage of Greatness podcast host.
Yes.
I love it. All right, let's give a quick plug here. Evan, where can we find Evan and Susan and where everything that is? Give the plugs and let everybody know.
Well, the greatest plug of all time is TLP. Thrive Loud Productions is the greatest umbrella to be under. So we are basking in Thrive Loud Productions. But we would love for you to go visit marriageofgreatness.com, and you can see fun videos, all kinds of free, cool tools and resources. And if you really want to see old school fun pictures of me with hair and 33 weddings, you can go to evanlovessusan.com. And we have all 33 of our weddings listed on there. So those are 2 fun sites. And drum roll, please, Lou Diamond. Are you ready?
Yes.
We are back on Instagram. We put our big IG on, turned it off and said, hey, we're not doing it. Then we realized, you know what, there's so many people that can only handle the short form content. And we know we want to encourage so many more people. So you can check out Marriage of Greatness on IG. And
love it.
Just launched. So that's a fun one. We're super excited about that.
Well, we will make sure to collaboratively post this special social post that'll come out from this video and so onto those things. And we'll have a great time doing that. And with that, as I mentioned, you talked about not having your phones and plugged in this. Well, I have a friend who yesterday just went to Augusta National to watch. I don't know if you knew this, but it was probably the craziest round of golf in the Masters, last round of golf ever, and Rory McIlroy having the lead, losing the lead. But there's no cell phones at Augusta. And what was really fun was they would show the crowds watching the scoreboards, and they didn't know what was happening on the other holes. So when they would post, if somebody had gained a stroke or lost a stroke, there was like genuine excitement of somebody pushing the old style scoreboard, not electric, like they literally put it up manually. And as it was happening, I started saying, I go, how great is that? Because otherwise everybody already knows it. They're all on their phone and they know the scores. They find out what's happening anywhere. But to the sense of being present and intentional, it was awesome to see. That's probably why it's the greatest golf event, because everyone is intentional in that event. They're all focused into what's happening. And I think it's a good lesson to your technology point, Susan, earlier, whether it's in the sports or whatnot. It just seemed like, as my friend said, we didn't have any clue. We didn't have the television knowing what was going on all the holes. So every roar, we were so in tune to what was going on. I think we could use a little bit more of that.
Yes.
A little bit more of that each day. So I'm
Oh, that is so good, Lou, just about the experience. And you think about this, right? When people talk about golf, there's all the other events, and then there's the Masters.
Exactly.
And it speaks right in, because of the intentionality, because of what's going on, down to the fact that they know how tall every blade of grass is. And here's a fun Masters one. So I was at a luncheon last week, and there were some guys there that were at the Masters last year. And they told me the story of they were in Amen Corner, they're geeking out, they're all excited. And this guy had a baseball hat, and he turned it around. And he said it took less than 10 seconds for a Masters guy to come over and go, "Excuse me, sir." And like, even the intentionality of like, "Hey man, like, we're not doing backwards ball caps, we're not doing phones, like, we want you that present." And that's why it stands apart. And so that's what my bride and I are all about, Lou, to your point of like, hey, what story is your marriage telling? Are you telling a marriage of greatness story, a story like the Masters, right, where you just say the word and everybody goes, "Oh"? Or are you telling the story of mediocrity, or telling the story of boredom, or telling the story of, I'm ready to trade this one in and get a new one? So for people that are excited about telling the story of greatness, and telling the story about true love, and telling the story about happily ever after, Marriage of Greatness is here for you.
And with that, Susan, Evan, Money, such a pleasure to have both you guys back on the program. Marriage of Greatness podcast. Everyone go check it out. Thank you both for coming on Thrive Loud, and thank you for being you guys.
Lou Diamond, we appreciate you.
You got it. To all our listeners and viewers out there, thank you for joining us. Till next time, keep moving onward and upward, and remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.